So here we are, here we go. It is episode 33 of the End Product Podcast. I'm Quinny and joined as ever by my main man Stishy boy. Stish, good to see you. How are you?
Good to be back, mate. Always a pleasure, never a chore. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm just about getting into that festive period. You know, it's the 21st of December and it's been like the calendar's just fell away. It's like Christmas is... My kid said to me today, he's obviously wrong, right? But he said to me, in 2 sleeps it's Christmas. And then when I looked at him funny, he's like, well, tomorrow. And I was like, crap, man, it is. It's the 21st. By the time anyone's listening to this, it'll be the 22nd or further on. And it does feel like, wow, how did this happen? The World Cup kind of took the calendar away from us, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It felt weird towards the end of it. It was like, all right, the World Cup's done. Now what? Oh, Christmas next weekend. It's yeah, I've been buzzing around, doing all the shopping as per usual, proper like standard dad last minute. But I think I've got everything nailed now. I had a full day in the house with the kids that I had to manage. Been squeezing in studio sessions and that to like get bits finished up for next year, and yeah, trying to avoid all of the sort of like communal drink ups that I'm getting invited to. Oh, like come to this drink, come to that. I feel like I've just had way too many nights out. You know, like the football was an excuse to just go out. So once England got knocked out of the World Cup, it was like, yeah, I don't know if I've got another excuse up my sleeve to go out boozing all night. So yeah, it's been a mad month, really. It's completely flown by. So Christmas definitely crept up. I definitely feel you on that.
And I think we're all in the kind of festive spirit anyway, with all the rewards and all the prizes that were won by, it feels like everyone, you know. And I did terrible in the Global Cup, and I managed to still like collect a limited or two and like half a dozen National Series cards. So it was a competition where everyone was a winner, and it does kind of feel that way. But Stishy boy, you know about the winners of the End Product private leagues that we had as well?
Yes. I want to send a shout out to Jeroen026, who won the End Product League. As we may or may not have announced on the podcast, definitely done it on social media, that we would actually not award the overall winner. We were going to award 20th, 25th and 30th, because I just had this vision that whoever won our league was probably going to win Nellis's, was probably going to win yours, was going to win everything. So I thought, let's not give the prizes out to the winner. But what I did do was I sent Jeroen026 a couple of limited cards from my collection. Nothing to write home about, just a nice little a little drink to say like big up. And I did invite him on the podcast, but he said that his English is not particularly good, so he's not joining us tonight, sadly. But Jeroen, if you are listening, congratulations, and I'll get around to sorting out something for those people who finished in 25th, 30th, etc. But yeah, Quinny, yourself, you have been very busy sending out rewards, prizes. Do you want to get into how things panned out on your own personal experience on the Global Cup?
Yeah, so I had, you're quite right. I think Tevin 23 creamed up. He won my private league, so he's getting 2 VIP tickets to Celtic Park. Sidowski is how it's kind of spelled. He won tons of stuff. He finished second in my league. He's getting tickets to see St. Pauli, and with a bunch of people picking up shirts and cards and all the rest of it. And in the members, I had a members league in FC Barcelona. That's the name of my Sorare team, for anyone that doesn't know. In the FC Barcelona Foundation League, you know, the charitable arm, like every great club, we've got a foundation arm, you know. And there was like 60 entrants, and I gave out 20 cards. So I thought that was pretty good going.
Really good, yeah.
And so yeah, I had to ship all that, and I just wanted to do all that pronto. See, as soon as the thing was done, I just wanted to go through it real quickly. And you know, I maybe, you know, just to be straight, I maybe done myself out of some content. You know, I could have probably strung it out for a good bit and whatever, but I don't know. I didn't even think about it. It was just, as soon as the thing happened, I was like, I just want to get this done and move on from the Global Cup and the World Cup, because I wasn't even planning on taking it that seriously until they really rolled the red carpet out for the thing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they're going to be busy in the Sorare office figuring out all of these prizes they've got to send out and getting in touch with people. And yeah, it's going to be a minefield of emails and usernames and God knows what else. So,
Well, on that note, I can say this maybe as a PSA, a wee public service announcement, but I know from talking to Dan with the ones that win like shirts and tickets and such, I do need to actually go and gather some personal data for them. So if
oh,
you were
really?
in someone's private league and they reach out to you requesting, it was like 4 things: name, email address, phone number, and something else. I forget what the third one was. Related to Global Cup prizes, that would be related to Global Cup prizes from a private league that you joined. That would be, that's all above board. I would imagine, just as a wee PSA out there, because I will probably need to message some people now and get some details. But yeah, so all good, all glory, and I think also the festive. Because again, a lot of the people I talk to, Stish, have Celtic cards, and very much at this festive period now, it's only Celtic cards that are playing like right now as we're speaking, and I say everyone that can get a full team out is right in amongst it this game week. So it feels
Yeah.
like I've got a nice easy win coming my way, which I think I'm long overdue after that World Cup desert that I went through. So yeah, buzzing, and I can't wait to go through the festive period as a whole now.
So we might get some end product live on the end product podcast this week then.
That's it. Well, I'm currently sitting top in All Star Super Rare. Let me just double check that. I'm like 3 points ahead of Wen Moon, as I believe we're referring to the person as.
And
Oh no, I'm much ahead now. I'm 9 points ahead. So I'm probably winning, which is going to be a tier 2 All Star Super, which isn't probably going to be that great, but there is some gems in there, because it's the All Star pool. And it's just going to be under 0.4 Ethereum, which, considering I'm the only team in the mix, basically it's
0.4 Ethereum is a nice amount of money to win. Definitely.
Yeah.
You got me
And
buzzing
and
about
in the limited division, basically as well. I was riding right high. Where am I now? I don't know if I am riding high anymore. I was like 8th in the first half. I don't know if it's changed. No, I'm 23rd now. Somebody else in another game maybe scored, because that's All Star limited. So maybe Coventry, I think they've got a game on or something. So yeah, just a super rare division, and I've got a few 4-man teams out, kind of that might get quite busy as well. So there's we're at the 60th minute of the match, and you guys all know the usual suspects. What cards I'm rolling out? McGregor's killing it on AA again tonight. He's on 58 at the 60th
Nice.
minute or so. Yeah, so if he keeps that up, we'll get another monster score out with him. And if he gets another decisive, then brilliant. It'll actually mean something for me this week. It feels like a wee bit of justice for FC Barcelona in that respect. So. I'm looking forward to, and I've done my lineup builders and stuff as well into the weekend on the lineup builder. And when we got the announcement last week about the capped mode, of course, we're all kind of going back to the drawing board and stuff. And it feels like now every time I'm building a team or I'm building these lineup builder things, I'm always thinking and trying to check myself for like, right, okay, what is the forward plan here?
Yeah.
Have you had much of that going on yourself, Stish?
Yeah, I've been looking in on Sorare data at those fixtures on that end of January, just to sort of like have a rough idea of what is happening around that time. Obviously, there's only so much you can do, because if I've got players injured who are due to come back, I think like Channy mentioned last week on the podcast about like Florian Wirtz is going to be a 0, but he is likely to play before that change happens at the end of Jan. So
Yep.
his L10 or L15 will definitely not be 0 by the time. And I've been following what he's been doing. Played against Rangers the other week, came on and had an absolute blinder of a game. Scored again in the week. So I think he looks fighting fit and ready to come back and absolutely smash it. So by the time that those February fixtures come around, I expect Wirtz to have like an L15 of like 68 or something ridiculous, probably. So he won't be quite as exciting to use in that cap league. But yeah, I've been looking just to see, because like I've mentioned, I think particularly with my super rares, I'm definitely going to have. I always have excess super rares that end up just in training. So be interested to see how that affects like my usage of super rares that first week. And I think a lot of that will boil down to what's in the prize pool, because if the prize pool's not great, it might be like, how likely am I to land in the prize pool with like maybe a rare pro entry with my best super rares in it, versus putting those really good super rares into a team that will smash through the 240 or the 250 score, but also hopefully land in the cards of that.
Yeah.
So until that time, I don't think I can be that sure of what I'm going to do. But yeah, I have been interested in just having a little look at what players' current sort of like score, like averages, looks like, and what I might be able to put out. And I think, yeah, it's had me looking. I'm still kind of like, I'm still scouring the market for another unique, possibly a forward, America's under 23. So quite specific what I need, but also I'm quite tight. I don't want to spend loads of money on it. So difficult. You got to kind of like spot one of those under the radar, maybe someone who's going to break into the first team next season, not someone who's like proven themselves up to this point. So need to do some scouting before that America season starts up again. But yeah, I think there's only so much you can do right now. I think in terms of that, but it's been nice just having a mess about in the lineup builders, just seeing like, oh, Mexico's back or Argentina's starts up, and it's like knowing that that's not that far away now. Pretty
Yeah,
exciting, definitely.
for sure. I've just jumped onto the unique auctions just as you're saying that there, and there's a few guys that might be fitting that profile that you're going after, because I think like the secondary market for uniques is funny because most of those guys are not in a rush to sell anything ever, you know.
No.
So you really need to catch them on the right day when they're motivated to build a wallet or something, you know. And otherwise, the other ones that I've had a wee bit of joy with negotiating for the was it the Dennis Suarez or
Yep.
I've had, you know, so, anyway, is like the refer a friend rewards that anyone who breaks the 30 ones, and you get them with really random accounts sometimes that you've never heard of, but they're like a mad Twitch streamer that's got like 30,000 subs, and like getting 30 refer a friends is not a sweat. There's tons of accounts like that, you know,
Yeah.
that you would just never, you know, all over the world, not just France, you know. But so one thing I like to do, and this is maybe something for anyone out there, yourself included, Stish, but is just look at the ones that are in for this season, because if you get somebody that fits your criteria and they've won it through refer a friend, it's only going to be a current season unique that they would get.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
So when you filter on
Yeah.
unique by current season, and then all I do when I'm really studying these is I'll just change the thing to newly listed, because it's unique, so you don't get that many of them, you know. And then if you check into that twice a day, just look at the top 3 pages of newly listed, like you'll know the market within a couple of days of like, I suppose now that actually listings are on for 7 days rather than 3, maybe that will take a bit more time. Actually, you maybe need to check out a few more times or go or something. I don't know.
Just looking on the new card auctions, there's a couple of there's three cards there that I like. They've got Santiago Simon, Bilal El Kanous, who's at Genk, who looks like a real good talent. He's 18, Belgian, and then Ferran Jutgla, who we all know about, but I think he ages out in July, June. So I'm not as interested in that one, just because, and he might. Does he go back to Barcelona at the end of the season as well? Jutgla, would they sign him?
I'm pretty sure they bought him. I'm pretty sure they paid money.
Okay. But
Yeah.
he's good. But you know that I'd expect that unique to go for quite a lot of money. El Canus is maybe a little bit more under the radar, but looking at the cost of his rares, I'd expect that to go for like maybe 5-6 ETH, which is not really what I'm looking to pay. And it's a rookie, which is lovely. I don't know. I'll probably keep an eye on that one. 20 hours to go. If that sort of falls into that 2 to 3 ballpark somehow, then maybe I'll go for that. But again, I don't need another midfielder. I think I need a forward because I've got Levitt as a midfielder. I've got 2 defenders, so it really needs to be a forward or a goalkeeper to like be sensible about it. Especially if I want the potential to use it as a D1. You know,
If you want to
otherwise,
spend absolutely nothing on it, you'll get a goalkeeper.
yeah, this is it. I think because I need a U23 one, that it doesn't leave me many options in terms of ones who are playing.
Yeah.
Or ones who maybe will play. I think, you know, like maybe if you look at like a Toby Lyson or someone like that who's likely to become a number one before they turn 23 in the next few seasons, once like Van der Voort moves on, you'd expect Lyson to be a number one unless he's moved somewhere else before that, right?
Yeah.
So he might be one, but again, I don't think he's going to come cheap, because I think a lot of people are wise to the fact that he's going to be a number one soon enough if you can be patient. So yeah, it's tough, but I know it's just, you just got to be patient, like you said, like keep checking the secondary market. Like I picked up that Ayumu Seko for was it 1.5 or something a few weeks back, and I'm really happy with that purchase. I thought that was a bargain personally. He's a regular starter at Grasshoppers. I was watching him in the J League, and he's been in my watch list for ages, so to be able to pick someone like that up that I've had eyes on and I know that they can play, I think it was the same with like Lee Bomb and Levitt. I
Yeah.
knew about those players because I'd watched them play, not because of like what the stats were telling me,
Yeah.
To hopefully pick up another one like that maybe hasn't quite hit the scores just yet, but yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, just constantly looking in the market. There's definitely some bargains out there at the minute, especially in rares. Like, been surprised how many good cards I've seen for under 100 quid in rare in recent times.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Definitely, yeah, loads of them. Like all these sort of like. What I'll do is I'll scour Twitter for like news of transfers in like Asia and like maybe like the Mexican and Argentinian divisions that maybe aren't as like heavily um, reported on by the sort of like the Western media,
Sure.
or the European media in the football sense. And then I'll go into Sorare and see, and like like picking up some of those red crosses who are likely to get a move and stuff like that. That's where the bargains are to be had. I've definitely picked a few up in the last few weeks, and some of them have been 20, 30 quid. You don't mind having a little punt at those, just even if the move doesn't quite materialize, you haven't lost that much. But if it does, then you can triple, quadruple your money if you wanted to flip it. But if not, they might end up becoming quite a useful card once the season starts. If they start, then
Mm-hmm.
it's that's the game in it. In the trading sense, is like, do you flip before they start playing, just in case they're a bench player or a rotation, or do you hold on to them and then they turn out to be really useful? Like when I look back at when I picked up that Romulo card, who is like currently like the third or fourth highest scoring card on the platform over the last 15. I think I picked him up for like zero point 0.1. I picked up two, and then I sold one for like 0.15 or something, like a 50% increase. But that I listed that card the other week for an ETH, seeing if anyone wanted it, because the big players or the people who like to flip in and out of cards quicker, they've been picking him up of late, because his scores are so good and he gives that differential that you don't get. He plays in the Chinese Super League, so unless we get a license for that soon, you're not likely to have too many managers to worry about having that card. And the Chinese Super League had a lot of those midweeks during the World Cup. He fell into quite a lot of those game weeks, which was great. I mean, I didn't have a great deal of success, but definitely helped me to a card win or two, I think, over the course of the World Cup. Definitely some ETH was scraped in that time. So that, yeah, I kind of enjoy doing that and been keeping a little eye on things, keeping an eye on the friendlies, trying to figure out if any of my cards that haven't been that useful are going to become useful in January. That's another thing. You had
Yeah.
any good transfer news for your gallery yet? Anything you're looking at, keeping an eye on?
The only thing that's happened would be Cunha. It sounds like he's all but in now at Wolves, and it's expected that he's got a right shot at playing the first game of the new year. So maybe that's kind of good, but no, nothing else is really kind of knocking around. I don't think transfer wise. I kind of need Dennis Suarez to move, but I don't think Celta Vigo will get anyone to pay a fee that they'd accept. So they might need to wait till the summer for him to break his contract, which will be fun. But I kind of hope a guy like that, he could go to like MLS or something wacky like that, and it would be incredibly amazing. So anyway, just got to take that off with a smooth on that. But in terms of rares, like I've been kind of knocking about trying to find some pieces. Like at the moment, as I look at my hit list on my whiteboard here for rares, the only two things I've got on like I need to get to fill holes like you're talking about is a non-EU rare keeper with some description. So I've only got Sean Johnson at the moment and Tanny. And a champion Euro forward to kind of supplement Tati, who's only on loan at Girona, and who knows what will really happen in the longer term with that. And other outside of that, I've only got Jordan Larson, who's rotation player at best at Schalke. So I need somebody. If I'm going to do I've got super rare champ forwards, but I don't have any rares other than the ones I've just named. So I could do with another one of them just to make sure that if the forwards I've got aren't playing, aren't in form or whatever, I've got a rare option to maybe get the team going still. And Celtic, I've got another goal. It's 3-1. Abada scored. When Moon has Abada, who got the assist?
Oh,
Who got the?
drama, late
It is
drama.
drama. I might be second now. Who got the assist? Oh my God, who got the assist? I need to see the replays this year. I'm crapping my pants.
Oh, it's just
Abada scored. It's 3-1 to Celtic now in the 70th minute. So nice bit of build-up play. Who's that? Is that McGregor? Oh, he might be offside, by the way. He is offside. I don't know if there's VAR. That might be McGregor. They got there. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I need to see that again. I was kind of.
this is as exciting as the
Oh, no
World
assist.
Cup.
There'll be no assist on that. He might
No,
be offside. And maybe so the ball gets played by McGregor and then a Livy player like touches it and
oh,
he
yeah.
can't control it well. He goes to like
Yeah.
shoulder it up or something and then Abada picks his pocket, gets one-on-one with the goalkeeper and slots it away.
Yeah, no assist then.
No
Usually
assist. And I don't know if that knocks me to second because he's now got a... Yeah, right. So he is now 10 points clear of me.
Oh,
It's going to be so
so
tight, man.
where's your differential then? What do you need to happen now to leapfrog?
Right, so he has...
You need a McGregor decisive, basically, don't you?
I think so, yeah. So, yeah. He's 10 points ahead of me. We don't have any of the same players except for the goalkeeper, as I mentioned. He had James Sands playing, super rare midfielder that plays for Rangers in defence now. He scored 46 points last night, so that's kind of holding him back a little bit. But what's holding me back a little bit is the rare heart. But yeah, McGregor is my equivalent to his Abada. Or Jota. He's got Captain Jota that's been benched now. Jota's off for Haksabanovic. And yeah, basically Abada's on 100 and that's what's killing me because I need between Greg Taylor and Kyogo, I need them two to catch up this 10 points I'm behind.
A nice little...
Oh, the goal's been chopped. No, I don't.
Oh,
I shouldn't laugh at that because it's Celtic. Yeah, I mean, how mad is that? Like, I should not laugh at that at all. Goal's been
this is
chopped
the
off.
drama of the Sorare game week unfolding live before your ears and eyes.
Back
people.
to top.
Everyone listening and seeing this right now can relate. I'm sure.
Back
He's
to top.
like the end
See
of
you
the
later,
game.
Windmoon. So he was on 341. I'm going to refresh the page. Get it up you. He's now on 325, so he's lost 16 points.
Oh, it's horrendous that.
Oh, it's beautiful for me. Yeah.
Good for you.
And do you know, the funny thing is, to see for the first goal, Abada set up Kyogo. So we both got a striker with a decisive.
Oh.
And when I seen it was Abada got the assist, I was like, damn it. And then I realised in my limited team, and that's a nice segue actually onto something else, but in my limited team, it's the last dance, Stish, for this All-Star Limited team is all 5 of my Champion Edition Celtic Limiteds. So I've got Joe Hart, Ralston, Rio Hatate, Abada, and Kyogo. So I actually didn't realise until later that, I've actually got both of them in a team together. So that's actually, it's got a nice wee kind of AOK element to it. So I've got a few things kind of on the go. So that Abada thing is mainly good for me, but it's not, it could have been, it's one of those ones. But yeah, and the reason I called that the last dance dish, I kind of gave you the heads up, and a few people watching this might have caught the member stuff and will know this, but I have sold all of my limiteds except for 4 cards. The 4 cards I kept, I'll let you know that first of all. We've probably got a bunch of questions and stuff, but to the listeners, I'm saying, like, what did you do that for? And who bought them? And how much did you get? And whatever. But I kept the best reward I ever got, and it was the best reward I ever got for a lot of reasons, and anyone that listens to me will know why instantly, and that was Talis Magno. So I won him, first owner card, have to keep that. Had to keep my reward Tony Watt limited as well, could not part with that.
Tony.
No, exactly. It's a reward. I won it. I was meant to have it. I've got it still in there. I've kept a Rio Hatate Champion Edition card, so he'll live to fight another day after this game week. And I kept my limited Philip Kostic because he has won me 3 different scarcities of cards. That guy's won me a super rare, bunch of limiteds, and then a couple of National Series cards if we count them. So I kept the 4 of them, and the rest of them I've had to heave ho. They've been out, Stishy boy. I sold the total bash. 2 seconds. So like over the time I've had limiteds, I've went into the market like 3 times to really supplement my squad and build out. And I mean, like, I've went into the market and spent like half an ETH, etc., whatever. So, and the whole time I was running my limiteds, I had this, I've been saying it since the day they launched. I actually went back and listened to my first 3 videos about limiteds when they were first introduced. And it's been the same kind of thing I've said the entire time, is like, you can only expect their values to go down. And for the most part, that's not overly been the case, depending on, what cards you're talking about and when you pick them up. The market does more kind of yo-yo and move, of course, with utility. And Sorare have been really, well, controlled is probably the only word I can think of in terms of their auction cycles, you know, because there's been so many cards available that you can't actually auction all of them 1,000 times or 500 times and reward them all. So the actual issuance on the cards, there's not many. I don't think they're even getting to issue number 600, you know. Maybe there is, I don't know, but I don't think there's that many getting up into the really high end on the limiteds in terms of how many cards are getting pumped out. So over the time, like, I think I'm managing so I've had my limiteds for just over a year, like 12, 14 months or something. So I've been buying them since they came out. And I think in terms of ETH, in terms of the ETH I spent to get cards, I've also won some stuff and traded around a wee bit and whatever. And then what I managed to sell them all for to Pavel, which was 1.75 Ethereum. SRD value is like 2.2 or so. So you can do the maths on that. It's like an 80% haircut or so, or 20% haircut, I beg your pardon. So I kind of feel good. I can kind of reset. I can do the FC Barcelona limiteds, you know, the right way, properly identifying some guys that are really under, because now the market feels, I'm not going to use the M word, which is matured. I'm not going to use that word, right? But it has like evolved a little bit, because when the limiteds first came out, like, every day is the Wild West. Like, guys were just going up like mad and dropping like fuck, and you know, like everyone could be any price on any given day. Some bad news came out, and then some guys, they're at the bottom of the market, could just go down a digit, you know, kind of thing, or ETH dropped or ETH jumps, or, you know. But now it feels like limiteds is very much, it's, you know, it kind of knows its parameters in terms of a market, and it's very heavily tied into pound notes, into euros, into dollars. So as like a subset of the market, I just kind of look at it now and think, I've been doing this for about a year. SO5 wise, I've done kind of A-okay. I've had fun, which is what I wanted. And right now, I could do a great thing, because on the main on the channel, I'll be doing a lot of content around this, like squad builder stuff and all the rest of it. With the view of obviously building a wee team for Capped Limited and really exploring that from like the small gallery perspective with Limited, you know, like actually how difficult is it to get a team together and any of the moves we need to make, like we've done on the podcast Stish all year with the specialist and the underdog, you know, just kind of, but really living it this time, because, you know, and I know, like, sometimes when you mess about with the specialist and the limited team, you've got like 100 limited cards. It's not the same challenge for you as it is for somebody that's got 10, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
On a lot of levels, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I hear you. I've kind of contemplated, like, looking at my limiteds in a similar, is that, like, I don't think they've yielded, like, comparatively to how I've got on in the res. And I think I'm not exactly sure if it's just because the competition is a lot more fierce. You know, if I look at the best sort of game weeks I've had in limited, I've hit big, massive scores, and I've still finished like 150th or something like that. And there was a Sorare data app update this week, wasn't there? And I was actually looking at my best sort of game weeks. If you go into like your gallery and have a look, and I think it was like your best game weeks. And if I look, there was one that was limited. Let me have a look at it. So my second best score on the platform was in All Star Limited game week 298 on 449.82 points.
Nice.
And I finished 85th that week.
Wow.
85th on nearly 450 points.
Wow.
So yeah, I kind of get that, you know, limited's tough. Obviously that's All Star, which is tougher as well.
Yep.
But I think, like, for me, the 240 cap, I'd want to be competing in that every weekend and hoping I pick up some cards, but I don't really have the cards that I need to win in Challenge Europe or win in Champ Europe or win in under 23. So I don't have a great deal of success in limited, because you need to have those big cards, because so many people have them. You don't have that problem as much in rare or super rare or obviously unique. You're only competing against a handful of people who might have that lineup that you want to avoid. In limited, 50, 60, 100 people can have it. So, yeah, it's tough. Definitely tough.
So I'm kind of looking forward to it. And with the money I've kind of raised, also I don't need all of that to go and buy limiteds again, you know, because I'm just kind of going to start like new and like, you know, do all that kind of stuff. So like, it's like, I've spoken about so many things. I've got some gaps to fill, you know, so I'm very much myself. Like, we've got a sub for Celtic. Jackie Makis is on. That probably means it's the end of Kyogo's night. I hope Abada goes off as well then, because that means he's got a striker on the pitch. Oh, O'Reilly's going off. Is Abada going to get 90? Moy comes on for O'Reilly. 5 subs are on. Abada's getting 90. Keo goes off. By the way, this is going to get squeaky. This is going to be squeaky bum time, by the way. Let me just check the standings, Stishy boy. So I'm 4 points ahead of him. I've still got on the pitch Taylor and McGregor and Hart. He's still got on the pitch Hart, Carter Vickers, and Abada. So Abada's 6 points ahead of McGregor. And Taylor is like 16 points. No, he's way more ahead of that. Taylor is smoking Carter Vickers. That's my main thing right now. But if Abada does something, I need McGregor to be involved as well, or catch up or something.
Yep. Oh, good luck. How many minutes left?
We're in the 82nd minute now.
Oh, you only got... So in the next sort of like 10, 15 minutes, we'll know how you should, so long as there's not any adjustments by Opta.
Don't even suggest adjustments. So imagine I woke up to something mad.
I hate that. It's happened to me before. Yeah,
that's
you sort of get nudged down a couple of spaces. The worst is when you finish in the tier zeros and you're like sick. You go to bed and you wake up in like the bottom end of the tier 1. It's like, what happened?
That always happens to me when it's like there's K-League stuff or something like that, or J-League, in the morning. And, maybe a Sunday or something sometimes or whatever.
If you're an all-star, yeah.
For sure. And I'm looking forward to all that stuff coming back. I think at the moment we're talking about how quickly Christmas has happened, Stish, but I'll be rebuilding a whole like gallery, which will be fun. But you know what to say, having fun time flies, so I think before you know it, we'll be looking at like, oh wow, next week it's the capped mode, it's starting. I think it will, when we get all this domestic football start to trickle back in, the time will run away from us again.
It will. The Christmas period always flies, and then you've got New Year. Before you know it, you're 2 weeks into January. So it will come around very quickly. Definitely. There's been quite a lot of movement in the, talking of Celtic as well, they've been linked to some of the hottest prospects in the K-League, haven't they? Which is really interesting to see, because they've been renowned for the business they've been doing in Japan, particularly over the last couple of seasons. So they're looking to Korea and Japan, actually, because they have signed a player from Kobe as well, haven't they? So
yep.
They're dipping straight back into the market, heading over to Asia to do some good deals. Are you going to be doing any good deals for your Asia contingent for FC Barcelona over the festive season? Are you looking over there?
No, probably not. I've only got 3 Asia cards left. I've got Isaka, who's a midfielder, Joachima Fujita. I've got 1 of 100 rookie, which is cool. And I've got Tani, 1 of 100 rookie as well, even though it's not a rookie. It's just the rookie. If that makes sense.
So you said you've got Isaka, who is tipped to move to Ulsan.
Yeah, huge move, man.
Great move, I think. I think he'll be good there. I do know that they've changed some of the rules in the K-League around usage of foreign players. So he will fall into that. But I think that there's a slightly different rule around foreign players who are from Asia. So like Japanese, Thai players, that kind of thing, that maybe find their way into the K-League, get a little bit more of a bly than maybe like a European or an American continent player. So I think Isaka's going to be great. I think Ulsan's a great team to go move to as well. And Isaka, I had his card a while back when he was was it Raysol? He was with
Raysol.
Before he moved. And then he moved, was it to Urawa?
Yeah.
If I remember right. And when he moved to Urawa, I was expecting him to slot straight in. And I was always surprised with how little game time he got. But I think that moving to Ulsan, given the sort of movers and shakers that have happened there already this summer, or in their close season, not in the summer, but I see Isaka doing quite well out there. I think he'll be a good signing for Ulsan. And he's a good creative player. He's got a classic number 10. And Ulsan are always in and about goals and in the box. And yeah, if I remember rightly, he's on set pieces as well. So could be a really good move for him. I've been looking at his rare, potentially picking one up, but I just haven't been tempted enough by the price just yet. That may or may not change. I don't really think I need too much in Asia. I've got quite a lot of options there. So I'm not as tempted. But But yeah, I'm like on the subject of Tanny as well. Obviously, Tanny on his way back to Gamba. What's your
Yep.
thoughts on that situation there? Are you expecting a bit of rotation this year, or do you think that he just slots in as the number one now?
Yeah, I think he's. I think if I was chatting to some people, and apparently it's not done.
Mm.
For Tanny, but I think it's getting there, But I've had that card for 3 years. This will be the fourth season I've had it, and I know the reports were coming out last year when it was like he's been on loan at Shonen for 2 years. What did they do? They can't put him on loan again, can they? Or whatever. And he was adamant. He's like, I am not sitting on a bench, kind of thing. So I don't see that his position changing. He's a Japan. The Olympic team got to the semi-finals. He was the goalkeeper. He's fourth choice for the national team at the moment on the current manager's reckoning. And by all accounts, there was a lot of Bundesliga 2 teams interested in him last summer, which was a nightmare for me last year. But this year, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
Go to
take
Bundesliga 2
that.
all you want, pal. That'll be great.
Yeah, true.
Plenty of matches, good utility. So yeah, either way, I don't think Tanny does not take the bench. He's not benching.
I hope not. I've got a Tanny as well, and I'm fingers crossed for him to be one of my mainstays in that U23 goalkeeper position. I lose a few come June, July. Trying to figure out, like I've got a Muric, and this was one of those sort of dilemmas that we discussed when they first expanded into Division 2 of Europe. Obviously, Muric fits into that category in the Championship, but he's playing at the team that is currently top of the Championship and looking like they're knocking on the door of promotion to the Premier League, where they will probably go and struggle unless major investment comes in at Burnley. So we find ourselves in a double dilemma with Muric as holders, that he's aging out and he's also going to move up into a division where he's not likely to hit many clean sheets, right? He will see a lot of shots, but how many clean sheets are he going to keep? So this is an unusual dilemma for me. I've been there before with players aging out and I've watched the dip. And normally, like, if you want to sell, you want to have done it like now or like last month, really.
Yeah.
You're going to start to see those prices dip on all the under 23s that age out this summer now. But particularly Muric is a really interesting case because any U23 goalkeeper that's about to move up into champ from that D2 has that added pressure of being in a shit team in the champ division. So really in two minds about what to do with Muric. I've been looking at his price, currently sitting around 1.2 ETH, I think, floor price. And I think that's like a fair price for him. But I do have quite a few goalkeepers that are aging out this summer. I've got Muric, I've got Bilal Bayezid, I've got Gaetan Kook, I've got who else have I got? I've got another one. I know I have. I can't remember who, but I've got 3 or 4 U23 keepers leaving the U23 zone this summer, and I picked up Yvonne Diouf in during the World Cup, who looks a solid hold. I've obviously got Van der Voort, who is going to give me at least another good year at Genk. I think he goes in 2024 to Leipzig, right? If I remember
Something
rightly.
like that, yeah.
So he's got another season in him at Genk, hopefully. And yeah, other than it's Safanov who ages out. Safanov also ages out. Yeah, but he's an interesting one because Safanov also.
A bad BCM, hopefully.
Oh, what?
I hope so, mate. He's like 10 yards out. Oh, I don't know if that will be, but it could be.
Oh, but yeah,
Sorry.
Safanov ages out. He also goes out of contract at Krasnodar this summer, so I'm expecting maybe a move for him. The interesting thing with a lot of these Russian players, I don't know if you saw the news today around Zakarian and why he didn't move to Chelsea in the summer.
Oh, I'm really interested to hear this, but the only thing I'd heard was like a month ago, and it was a report that apparently the deal has kind of been done for a while, and it's just been kind of like waiting to be signed off. So I've
Yeah,
not heard what you've read.
I saw like a Russian source on Twitter that had been translated today that basically said the reason he didn't move in the summer was because of all of the business around dealings with Russian-owned businesses, blah blah blah, and that was why it's not gone through and is not likely to go through anytime soon. So
Oh,
Zakarian may be stuck there, but it makes you think. now about a lot of those Russian players that will either move to the better clubs in Russia, or they wait till their contract runs down and then their agents get them and move to Europe where they don't cost anything. So they're not paying a Russian oligarch to like sign them. I suppose then it comes down to like, who are their agents or the agent's company? Who are they represented by? It's going to be really interesting. And I think Safanov will be one of the first big cases. Diviv also out of contract this year, I think.
Nice.
So 2 internationals for Russia.
I would love Celtic to sign Safanov because we've done deals in Russia. You know, Haksabanovic and Abelgard and Starfelt, and when Starfelt was before the war, I suppose. But we've done deals with Krasnodar as well. We've bought 2 players from Krasnodar over the last 10 years, Ibui Kawase and I forget the other one. So
be interesting to see if
I'd love us to get Safanov, man. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they're listening to offers for him for January, because this is their chance to get some money for him. He's not signed a new contract. There's no news anywhere of him doing so. There's been interest from Zenit to sign him. But if he wants to move, this is his chance, isn't it, really? If he wants to leave Russia and play and play European football, because they're not likely to be allowed to do that again anytime soon. So, be really interesting to see what happens to him. I think he will kind of like set the tone for a lot of the internationals on the Russian team. Because there's a lot of good young talent there that would walk into a lot of good sides in most sort of like Champ Euro, Challenge Euro sides.
Tons of them, man.
Safnov's been, a great shot stopper. I think he's proven himself. He's an international. And yeah, like I said, I think he's there. There's talk of Diviv potentially moving to Zenit as well at the moment. So yeah, like a couple of players on my radar because I own them. But going to be interesting to see what happens with a lot of these Russians.
For sure. Because I don't see any other teams going over there. I don't hear about any other players leaving. Like Cravadonna, when he left, he got his contract annulled or something. Like, like I think he kind of fled, kind of thing. You know, because you remember he got photographed when he turned up for Georgia duty, and he had like 5 suitcases with him. You know, and it was like he's not going back. You know,
it was obvious something was going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, but outside of that, and I say the boys Celtic have signed, outside of that, I think maybe one guy is maybe went to Turkey or something, maybe 2 guys have went to Turkey. I don't see many teams coming in, and some of the talent, Zakarian and Safanov especially, like, you know, like I seen today, Ajax are linked to Livakovic. You know, Safanov would roll into really any team like Ajax, you know, if they were going to spend the money on him, you know, because they won't be cheap. You know, you do expect... I expected Newcastle type, you know, and obviously not Newcastle, so I've got Pope, but I would expect a team like them to go and spend like 25, 30 million on a guy like him. Maybe the Russians think that as well, and that's why they don't mind holding him. Yeah.
I think the thing is, at the moment, most of the players that have left Russia for other teams are actually like not Russian. They are players who played in Russia.
True.
We haven't seen too many Russians leave Russia just yet. And I think they will be the ones that will have to wait and see what happens to their contracts, because, you know, a lot of the other players were allowed to leave. You know, their contracts were like mutually agreed to be terminated so they could leave if they wanted to. But the Russians haven't had that luxury. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when a few of the big players do run out their contracts this summer, if they stay in Russia or if they do. Because if they do, it will set a precedent for other Russian players to do the same if they want to. But, you know, they're under a different pressure over there. You know, what the politics are like and stuff as well. And
of course,
politics and are involved in.
And they might be joining the AFC. They might be going to play some Asian Champions League.
I see that, yeah. That'd be interesting.
How powerful would Zenit be in AFC playing against teams in Singapore and Bangladesh and whatever?
The Indian Premier League, it'd be crazy. There'd be some insane scores in those games. I haven't seen too much else in the news about that since I first saw it sort of touted, but
I read a kind of interesting article kind of looking at it and just saying that like UEFA and FIFA need to get their act together or something and sort it out, because like I can't remember what the guy's real point was in that sense about how they need to deal with it, because it is you know, like if they go there, Russia, like, you know, if you're talking about like cutting them off, anyway, it's not us to go into this in this podcast, right? But if you are talking about, you know, like not dealing with them, yada yada, do you then just allow them to go to Asia? These ones, it's a bit mad. I think if you're the AFC, but you take them, it'll be the second biggest division, probably the biggest that you'd have commercially.
In terms of like outside of football, politics wise, they do have allies in Asian continent. But how much power do those continents hold over like the Asian football confederations? Like, you know, their equivalent of UEFA. I don't know,
Yeah.
like who
I
holds
think
the cards there.
I think did you watch that Netflix documentary, the FIFA one?
I've
With
not
Sepp
got.
Blatter
I
and all that?
started it, but I got about 10, 15 minutes in before the kids started screaming. I need to.
It's decent. It's not like, oh my god, you need to watch it. It's not like Making a Murderer or anything like that. It's it's decent. It's worth
Yeah,
watching. But I think when you get the thing that I really took away from that, it kind of was the reason that went off in my mind just now when we're talking, is that I think, see, when you get to that Confederate level, like, it is just money. It's just like, do you have TV
mm,
rights? How much are they worth? Okay, cool, that's fine. We'll sell it to you, or we'll make a new competition, and then we'll sell you the TV rights for that, or that's what the kind of the dance seems to be at that level, is TV money and revenue and stuff.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how like the mark. I think the January window is going to be crazy. It'd be really interesting to see who of the sort of like World Cup big performers is anyone going to go in for Enzo Fernandez, like those kind of. There'll be moves for players like that, Jude Bellingham, all those kind of big, the players who really turn up at the World Cup. It's going to be interesting to see who turns up for them. And Quinny, has the game finished now?
Top.
You finished top.
Yes,
Oh,
4.3 points clear. So failing any madness, 4 points
hopefully,
is an okay buffer, I think. I'd like a wee bit more, of course, but yeah, home and hosed. I feel like. So their data saying there's 8 cards left, and then if I flick on unfinished lineups, somebody's got. Oh my god. A guy actually had Zlatan Ur actually had. Oh, he's got Chesney. Chesney's not playing, is he? Oh, he's got a DNP goalkeeper. That's fine. Jesus, I shat
okay.
my pants. So I was like, a guy has a full China team here. Guy playing for Beijing Guan, guy playing for Changchun, and a guy playing for Taijian. I'm like, this guy's got a full.
Love that.
He's just stacked, but no, he's nowhere near. Um, class! I'm buzzing. I've won. Super Rare All Star.
Brilliant. A bit
Finally,
of
my
end
dreams have
product
come true.
live on end
I've got a
product,
tier
mate.
2 Super Rare.
It's a shame you can't open it now. We could have done that live as well.
That'd be amazing. But that would have
Hey,
been amazing.
congrats.
I don't think
Talk
I've actually managed to claw in with a few other cards. I've had a 3-man team finish 8th and get me a tier 3 rare and under 23 rare.
Wow.
I know I said the word rare there quite a lot, but 151 points, 3-man team, no goals, no decisives, 11 points off a tier 2. Ouch.
I had 2 cards that I could have used this week, so I didn't even bother. I just put everyone in training this week. I didn't even enter a
I
single
think at 2
team.
cards I would do the same as well. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
noticed the guy that's winning unique, he only had a card. One.
really. I mean, I had 1 rare and 1 limited, so I couldn't even use them in one lineup. If they were both the same scarcity, I might have put a 2-man team into like an underdog or even just like an all-star, just on the off chance they both hit 100 or something. But one of them was Juranovic as well, and I thought he ain't going to play. So it was just like Giacomakis and Giacomakis rare, Juranovic limited. I'm like, they can just go training.
It's just not happening, is it?
It's not happening at all. Yeah,
And I've also
but
finished 25th in All Star Rare, and I'll be getting a tier 3 rare for that, and a wee bit of I didn't even get 250 points, 230. That's with a DNP goalkeeper.
yeah.
Uh,
I was saying to, I think I tweeted at McBride in the week when I said all the Celtic card holders were kicking off the other week that the game wasn't covered, and I was like, don't worry, we'll all be cleaning up next week anyway.
well,
So
well,
here we
hold on a
go.
minute, Stishy. Cleaning up. So the glass guy, right? So see that game week I couldn't play my team. There
Right.
was a star super rare for first,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Today it's
Right.
a tier 2. So like,
Not quite cleaning that.
the
Maybe
star
not.
super rare he won. I'd never normally do this, but I went and seen what he won because I was obviously like a bit gutted that I didn't win it. And I didn't have a team for it. For anyone that doesn't know why, Celtic kicked off at 12:30 and the World Cup third place playoff kicked off at 3 or something. So
Yeah.
they
So
wanted the deadline to be right before the World Cup place, which was a nightmare. But the guy won, the Czech Republic wonder kid that plays for Leverkusen, like Hozek or something. Hozek or Hozek
Adam
or
Klosik. He's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
he won him.
Oh,
Which for a start, I think it's a bit naff, right?
it is a
But
naff star, but it's still a very good
it's still a
card.
quality super rare to have.
No, I get that. I mean, I won U23 rare pro or rare. Um, ages ago. I might actually be able to just look at this. Yeah, so under 23 not super rare, U23 D4. So it wasn't pro, but I won that in a week where there wasn't many fixtures, but I managed to get a good team out, and I won Jesper Karlsson as my star rare for finishing first, and I was pretty disappointed with that. And I think my ETH winnings that week were really small because there wasn't so many games. I think I only won like 0.08 ETH for coming first or something like that, something silly, which isn't far off like a like winning a threshold these days. It's
Yeah.
like half a big threshold or double a big threshold. Sorry.
Aye.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
looking at the tier 2 pool, Stishy boy. Do you want to hear what I could win?
go on.
Anything that's decent?
What's at the top of it first?
The very top card is a guy called Sergei Dardar that plays for Espanyol that I do not want to win. He is the top
Okay,
guy on the list, and I haven't even looked at his scores actually. I just know who he is.
right.
Let me look at his scores. Right, he's number one now. See, when I hear like Channy and anyone else that does like reward opening videos, I'm just saying Channy because he's the first one that comes to my mind here. Talk about like, oh, I could have won this guy and he was top of the pool, and this guy was 15th in the pool. I'm not too sure their actual spot on this list like is like totally like what they term as number one. I think it's like kind of banded and it's a wee bit just
Yeah, yeah,
randomly assorted, like I think in their system, this is just pure headcanon for me, but I think in their system they'll have tier 2.1, tier 2.2, tier 2.3, and then like the prize pool is kind of in those segments almost, if you get me.
yeah,
And then it's just a wee bit of mix and match of, that's all the tier 2.1s, and they're not really in any order, except for like clearly the Mbappes and the Messis and stuff when you get up to the top end of it. But outside of that, so anyway, I don't read as much into that, but he's like top. And 2 seconds, let's check his crappy scores. Sergey Dar. I'm just
yeah.
going to put in Dardar. That's what his name is. I'm sorry. I think it's just Dardar. It's just Dardar. It's actually, wow, his scores are actually
That was always going to happen. Slate him. Oh, actually, wouldn't mind
mate.
winning that
His
one.
L15 is 58, and
That's good.
like,
The super rare like that is great.
aye, like he's got a lot of 70s and 80s, like a
Okay,
lot. He
maybe
doesn't
I need
have
to add
really
this guy
many
to my
below a
list.
45 either.
Dardar,
Yeah,
Dard.
ER.
Dard. Oh yeah, I get him. Darda Espanol. I've looked and I've seen this guy. He's come up in my searches before. Yeah, I didn't realize he was putting up these scores though.
Yeah, that's decent, eh?
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at the last sale, 187.
He must have
That's
set pieces, eh? Because he's got some assists. And
mm.
that's what's really boosting him. So he must have set pieces. That's not bad, I
I
suppose.
managed to win a Joselu the other week, who
Oh,
plays for
nice. Yeah, yeah.
Espanol. Quite a useful card, I think. I'm hoping
Eh?
it will be for I think a decent scoring forward you take, right?
Yeah,
Forwards go
every
in
day.
and out of form. A lot of my forwards have just been in dead form for a few months now. So anyone who's got a goal in them, I'm just happy to win at the minute. Really hoping that Chiesa comes back firing because I've got his forward card and coming back from a big injury, got that assist just before the break for the World Cup. I'm hearing he's got another injury now though, which is really annoying.
Oh, yeah.
But he's apparently got like a thigh injury, which is going to keep him out till the new year. So he's going to miss like the sort of a couple of fixtures through the festive season or period. But yeah, I'm just hoping he comes back firing. I really need my forwards. Since losing like Jesus Ferreira with the MLS finishing, I don't have any of those forwards that I can and Cecilia. I don't have anyone that I can rely on to just bang for me like a 55 plus without a goal. But yeah, I hate buying forwards because the good ones are so expensive and they can just the form can dip unless you've got like a Tadic or someone like that who's on set pieces and is a bit more like a Rooney type, like a number 10, not like a number 9. Those number 10 forwards are just so expensive and winning them is like a godsend. But yeah, fingers crossed, a few good moves and you never know. Like a little wonder kid just comes out of nowhere that happens to be in your gallery with a red cross or something. But yeah, so we're approaching the sort of end of the podcast this week, and Quinny and I were talking, and we've got a little segment to close out with, which I think will be a really nice way. We've gone into some of the comments from last week's podcast. Quinny, did you want to scour through some of your top comments? If you are listening to this on
YouTube.
Spotify or anywhere you're listening to from a podcast perspective, these comments are coming from YouTube. We do also post up the video version of the podcast. It should sound exactly the same, so you have to deal with looking at me and Quinny for an hour, unfortunately. So Quinny's going to go into the comments on our YouTube video from last week to pick out a few comments. We'll have a quick discussion on those before we close out for the week.
Yeah. So anything from today, guys, drop it in the comment section and we'll pick up with it next week and we'll make that our kind of wee outro piece, as it were, you know. But the first one that kind of caught my eye, Stish, we were speaking about this, we're going to do this before we come on, but it was Hey Mai, and I'm after the gossip on this one. He's saying, give me foremost Mendy over anyone Stish knows.
Yep, I had him in my watch list for ages. I don't. He's one of them ones. I'm not sure why he was in my watch list. He might have just been someone I'd read like a scout report about before he had a card. Just went onto his page, followed him. There's definitely a lot in my sort of following list like that. Anyone that's not got a card, I follow him and just hope that like they pop up. And he did, and he'd been, since he'd been playing in D2 in France, and he popped up, and his scores out of this world. I think like his L5 is before the World Cup where he went and didn't play a minute. His L5 was like 92 or something ridiculous. I'm gonna have a quick look at it now. Let's get into his stats while I've got Sorare data up. Foremost Mendy, and I got his number one, so I bought it as soon as it came out. I was like, I am not losing this auction, and I won his first ever rare at auction. Let's have a look. And to this day, it's still the cheapest one that's sold. I got him for 0.3 ETH, 311, and his recent sales are like over 6, 0.72, 0.67, 0.65, 0.711, and then today 0.746. So I think people have cottoned on to, his L5 is 98, his L15 is 69, his L40 is 62. He's a proper cheat code. Like, he's hit one yellow score and that was, when was that? He hit one yellow score back. Oh, he hit a red score when they lost 6-0. They lost 6-0. He hit a red score in March of this year. And the only other score below 45.
This guy's graph is delicious. Like, if you don't go and look at this, you're doing your eyes a disservice.
It's so foremost Mendy. Go and check him out. He is
too many DNPs, but
if he's got a U23 utility till 2025. If he keeps this up, he's going to be like the most expensive card on the platform. If no one picks him up, he is an international, but he isn't. He's a Senegalese. He was at the World Cup, but he didn't play any minutes. So he's still pretty under the radar in terms of like the global football sphere, but he won't be under the radar on Sorare for much longer if he carries on like this. His all around scores of 45, 33. He's got negative decisive actions and still hitting a 48.
That's brilliant. Man. Stats look quality.
Yeah, I mean, there's an all around of 67 in one of these games. There, he banged 100 without a decisive. Like, I love an all round scorer. So foremost Mendy. Obviously, he's not going to be a secret on this podcast anymore. We'll keep you informed once he's back in the game. He's got a game this weekend, and I'm very excited to be putting him back in my lineups.
And the next one we've got comes from Rico, man. My issue with the whole Ronaldo versus Messi is that last year no one was talking about Messi having a horrible season when he only had 6 goals in League 1, but Ronaldo got 18 in the Prem. Also, if Ronaldo was complaining about refs and calling opponents stupid in post-match interviews, he would be crucified. I see how good both are, and I just find Ronaldo's multi-league achievements more impressive. Rico, man. Solid point, I think.
It's a really solid point, and I think that the only thing I will say is what's happened in the week since that comment was posted. And this comes from Ronaldo's biggest fan. I love Ronaldo. I'm obsessed with him. I'm a massive Man United fan. Even the way he's left the club, I still kind of have a soft spot for him. Is like, it's just sad to see it end the way it has. And he had it rough at the World Cup, didn't he? And I think Messi was incredible at the World Cup. He was amazing. And to see him lift the World Cup at the end of it was actually poetic. It was such a moment. What a game as well, by the way. We haven't even spoke about how good the World Cup final was.
I know
How
it
good was
was.
that game of football?
I've been saying to anyone that, when you bump into people and they're like, "Oh, did you see the game?" No, talking about the World Cup final. My kind of staple response is like, I genuinely think it's the best game of football I've ever watched.
Yeah,
Like, probably, like, I think it's the best game ever. Like, so
yeah,
yeah, wild final. Actually, yeah, we never spoke. We spoke about the Global Cup. That was the main attraction. Who cares?
yeah, yeah,
It's all about those custom series cards.
yeah. But it was what a final. And
Incredible.
yeah, I would agree. I think it's the best game I've ever watched. And the funniest thing is, it didn't really come alive until France got that goal back. I think Argentina were incredible in the first half. France had nothing for them.
Yep.
Deschamps made some great changes. Kolo
I was
Muani
slating
came
him.
on, was brilliant.
See when he done it, I was like, "What's he doing? What's he
Yeah,
doing?" I couldn't believe it. But fair play to him.
he done the right thing. Mbappe, wow. I mean, what a player! What
Yeah.
a player to bang in a hat trick and then finish your penalty in the first penalty in the penalty shootout as well. That's like, and I'm not 100% sure. I'd need to look back, but I'm pretty sure he put all of his penalties in exactly the same place.
Uh-huh.
Didn't he put? He had 3 penalties, didn't he?
So
He
bottom
took
left
2 in the
from the
game.
striker.
Bottom left, yeah, like sort of middle bottom left. But he hit him hard enough that Martinez just couldn't get to him quick enough. He was just so good. The finish for the second goal, unreal. What a goal. I mean, but Argentina's second goal was incredible as well. It was just such a good game. And the Messi Ronaldo thing, I get it. It's hard. They're different players. It's like we were saying to Channy last week, isn't it? It's hard to compare them now.
Yeah.
They're not the same player, and they never really were. It's just like they're comparable by their achievements.
Barca v Real, isn't it?
Yeah, oh man. But just got to be happy that we lived to see them both in their prime.
Yeah. Like,
Good players.
that's the thing I think about as well when we're having these chats about Ronaldo and Messi and whatever. Is like, I can remember there was real hype around people I knew that are still football fans and whatever, but it was like literally back when Pep was at Barca and they were like, you had Alexis Sanchez there for a time, and then you had Neymar come in, and they had a great team for ages. Like, people would like make sure to watch La Liga to see Ronaldo score a hat trick. Oh, Messi scored 2 yesterday, so
Yeah.
Ronaldo's going to try and score 3 tonight. So let's put Real Madrid on against Espanyol and see how many goals he scores. That doesn't really happen anymore, But they were so like when they were at it against each other head to head, it was like. It was the biggest spectacle in football. Like, the Premier League was really challenged at that point by La Liga because they just drew the world. Everyone was like, Ronaldo scored 2 on Friday, so how many is Messi going to try and get on Sunday? And
Absolutely.
That part of it I think is overlooked a lot as well now because they've moved on in their career so much. Ronaldo's long left Madrid, and the battles, especially since post Mourinho, post Pep, it's not had that extra gunpowder under it either.
Yeah.
Not that it needs it.
Yeah. No, it was perfect. It was such a great final. Seeing both of the players that were like all eyes on Mbappe versus Messi, and it's like you're getting sick of hearing there's more than 2 players on the pitch.
Yeah.
But then the game happened, and all the 2 players that everyone was talking about absolutely delivered beyond. You couldn't write it. You couldn't write it any better. The whole way the game played out was like Roy of the Rovers shit. It was like a storybook. It wasn't like it was insane. What a game!
Yeah.
And
But for me, that's what made it the best game I've seen because, if you think about any great Champions League final, right, it's normal. And again, the ones in recent memory that most people will be able to call upon, it's like Real Madrid against Juventus or something like that, or it's Barcelona against Man United. It's these types of games where it's like, yeah, there's some big players and whatever, and yeah, it might be a good match, but it'll be a bit more like this, and it's a bit more. Whereas that's the first game where you're going into it saying it's Mbappe v Messi, and it bloody well was. I've tried my best not to swear there.
It really was.
And I can't think of how many games where you go into it pure hyped up thinking, oh, it's going to be how good are both these guys going to turn up in the crucial moment. And it absolutely delivered on that front. Like no two ways
Oh
about it.
man, it
I said
was.
it at the beginning of the World Cup as well, Stish, but if there's going to be a hero of a goalkeeper in this tournament, it was going to be Emi Martinez.
I
And
hate it. I hate
you
him.
hate him?
I hate him. He's the most annoying person. But yeah, I mean, like it. I just, I don't, there's something about him I don't like. But I think I've tweeted it before. I was like, I want Messi to lift the World Cup final, but I do not want to see Emi Martinez get near it. And then his behaviour in the final, in the penalty shootout, is exactly why I don't like him.
Fair
It's
enough.
like he's too much. It's like he's the mind games, the throwing the ball away so Chouamani had to walk away and go pick it up and bring it back. It's like I just it's something just not right about the level of shithousery. It's like you have to cap it somewhere, but he just knows no bounds.
Yeah,
And
he's not giving a hoot, is he?
like him picking up the golden glove and shagging it on the stage. It's really funny, but
That was brilliant, man.
he's like the nuttiest goalkeeper ever. Like at Man United, when he saved the penalty, he was dancing like next, and I'm like, you still got to fucking play this game and win it now, or
Yeah,
like at least not lose it. You're dancing in front of the fucking Stretford end. It's just like I don't like this guy. I don't like goalkeepers that are a little bit too silly, and he's
fair
one of
enough.
them. And like Aaron Ramsdale at Arsenal's another one who I'm just like, there's that geezer's got a screw loose. There's something not quite right with him. And I know all goalkeepers are a bit mental, but I think Emi Martinez is possibly the weirdest goalkeeper that we've seen for a long time. He's an absolute nutter. Have you seen the videos of him twerking in the changing rooms at the end of the game?
No, I've not seen that. Terrible.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious, mate. It's just like if you think shagging the golden glove was funny, wait until you see that one.
Aye, I'll definitely check that out. See, one thing I'll ask you to finish out with, Stish. What do you make of Aguero getting a medal and running around with the team after the game?
Do you know what? Fair play. Would he have been in the squad if he had been fit? Is the one question I would ask, because I'm not sure he gets in ahead of Alvarez, ahead of Dybala, maybe ahead of Dybala, depending on what kind of season he had. But I think he was obviously an integral part of that squad beyond being on the pitch. I don't know if you heard, but like apparently he was rooming with Messi the whole time they were at the World Cup. So like he was there to like be Messi's pal and make sure that he was like having a good time still. So yeah, it's always weird when they put the kit on, right? But
Yeah.
I think Sergio Aguero, if anyone has like earned the right to be amongst it, it's not like he was there 10 years ago. He was literally there. He may well have been at the World Cup finals had he
He,
not have had his heart issues.
he
So
played in qualification.
well, there you go. Like what more do you need? He's obviously still in and amongst it. He's been an important legendary player character for Argentina. So fair play. But yeah, what
Oh, no,
about yourself?
scratch that. May have been Copa America. Let me check.
Yeah. All right. Let's get our facts right.
Aye. But he was in the team last year. In
Yeah.
2021, he was in the Argentina team.
Oh well.
And then it was like, he had his thing not long after that.
Yeah. So what did you make of it? Were you okay with it, or?
I wasn't. So I knew that he was hanging about and everything like that, but I think officially he does hold a coaching position or something. I think they gave him a spot on the team, and like if he's at training and stuff like that, and I know everyone. I think the main thing people are saying is like, oh, he's just been Messi's pal or whatever. But if he's been in the squad that long, he's Premier League great, undoubtedly. I would suggest, So if he's been involved in training and stuff like that, then his medal isn't the same medal as Messi's or the same medal as Julian Alvarez. It's the same medal as the coach, the fitness guy, the kit guy, the assistant manager. They all look the same, of course, but that's how he's pulled it in that sense, And I do feel for him because like my heart's bled for so many footballers that have just missed out on stuff because of an injury or and there's some really good examples that are escaping me at the moment, but like some really, the really famous one from the 90s, of course, is Van Basten, losing his career too early to a bad surgery, and there's millions of stories like that. So for him, like, especially for how recently he had to retire, how wacky the thing that, a mad heart condition that comes out of nowhere, like, how do you explain that? So I think, you know, for him, the career he's had, that to miss this World Cup is absolutely heartbreaking. So for him to be involved in some manner, then I feel good for him. You know,
Yeah.
I'm never going to call Sergio Aguero a World Cup winner in conversation.
No.
You know, unless it's a pub quiz or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel good for him that he's got it, and he at least feels that he didn't miss out because of something crap that happened to him.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. I think that's a fair. You've summarised that pretty well. Definitely. I think the only person who shouldn't have been anywhere near the World Cup trophy was Salt Bay.
I seen that today, man.
Salt Bay touching the World Cup. What, he's getting, like, grabbing up Messi and that one. It's like, mate, just get your Instagram face off of the pitch at the final of the World Cup. Like, how do you even get there? Like, who gave him that kind of access? He's an influencer. He went viral on the internet. He's not a footballer. He's nothing to do with, beyond the fact that most of these players have probably eaten in his restaurant at some stage in Dubai. That's about as. But what's he doing there? Do you know what I mean? You may as well give me a pass and let me wander around.
Well, maybe next World Cup Stish that will be us.
That's it, mate. Give me a little DJ gig in the England changing room after we win it.
Yeah, I won't be there. I'm sure you'll have fun. I won't be there. I'm sure you'll have fun, but magic. If you've had fun, guys, make sure to drop a comment. We'll catch it next week. Stishy boy, I'm on the podium. I've got some end product for the midweek. Wish me luck for the weekend.
I'll tell you what, as it looks, I'm in for some end product and basketball. So we'll talk about that next week if it comes in.
Beautiful.
Looking good.
Right. Oh yeah, we do need to talk basketball because I've probably got my best week of basketball happening right now.
I definitely have. You can't call it until those games have all been played in basketball.
Oh, the double games are,
First one or two games, you're looking good. Game 3 rolls in for some players and you're like, oh, I've lost 800 positions in the league. So yeah, I'm not going to get too excited yet, but hopefully this time next week we'll have some end products to talk about.